Clark is definitely working behind the scenes to possibly land the Indiana Fever a new forward. That is Ray Burrell. Her and Ray Burrell has been having footage come out, and it's looking like Caitlin Clark definitely want a new forward for the Indiana Fever. Now, I'm here to tell you guys, the WNBA deal is done. I am back in the studio, and it's back to business as usual, dog. I'm excited about this. More importantly, I'm excited.
That's not just off-season training footage. That's recruiting. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for the Indiana Fever front office to build a championship roster around her. She's doing it herself. And the first target? Ray Burrell. The footage coming out of Puerto Rico shows something the WNBA hasn't seen in years, a superstar actively recruiting talent to her team before free agency even opens. Here's what makes this significant. The new CBA just got finalized after 8 days of marathon negotiations in Chicago. Supermax salaries hit $1.4 million. The salary cap jumped to $7 million. And suddenly, players like Caitlin Clark have real leverage to shape their rosters. She's not wasting a second of it.
Fever. Now, several players has been commenting up on Caitlin Clark post. Ray Burrell been one. She said that's woo-woo under Caitlin Clark post of her winning MVP. Now, Caitlin Clark has been nonchalant about winning MVP. She haven't really been bragging online. She made one little post. I'm telling you right now, everybody is talking about this.
Look at that interaction. Ray Burrell commented, woo-woo, under Caitlin's MVP post. Not a casual like, not a generic congratulations. A specific phrase that signals familiarity, connection, interest. Correlation overall on Twitter caught it first, and the Fever fanbase immediately understood what they were watching. The beginning of a recruitment campaign that could reshape Indiana's entire front court. But here's the context everyone's missing. The Fever are facing massive free agency decisions right now. Kelsey Mitchell wants $1.4 million under that new Supermax structure. Sophie Cunningham and Alexi Hall are both unrestricted free agents. The team has to make choices about who fits around Caitlin long-term and who doesn't.
Now, Andy Constable spoke with media earlier today talking about this deal. Let's listen to
8 marathon-long sessions for the WNBA and the Players Association to come to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement. So let's bring in the person who's been at the forefront of all of these talks, covering all of this for Front Office Sports, Andy Constable. Annie, first, before we get to any of the specifics of the deal, you have made this company so proud. We are your reporting on this has been so incredible. I guess, tell us what this has been like the last 8 days covering this, from the hotel to league headquarters to union headquarters, back to the hotel, staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
If it looks like my eyes are puffy and I can barely keep them open, it's not because I've been crying. It is, in fact, because I'm running on about 30 minutes of sleep. You just pulled me out of bed to do this hit. Gladly, happy to be here because what a week it's been. There's so much to talk about. And to your
Annie Costabilla from Front Office Sports just spent 8 consecutive days covering these CBA negotiations. She was there at the Langham Hotel in Chicago at 3 in the morning when both sides finally reached a verbal agreement. She watched Alicia Clark saber a champagne bottle to celebrate. And what she's describing here is exhaustion mixed with genuine emotion about what this deal means for the league. Think about what had to happen to get to that moment. 14 months of contentious negotiations, public threats to opt out of the existing CBA, players willing to delay the season if necessary, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the Players Union grinding through every single line of a complex revenue-sharing agreement until 4 a.m. The stakes were enormous, and everyone involved knew it. The breakthrough came in those final 10 minutes. Years of source relationships, trust built over time, and then the confirmation, verbal agreement reached. Both sides coming downstairs from that negotiating floor with genuine relief and celebration. Not just because the deal got done, but because of what the deal represents for the future of women's professional basketball.
so profound and special to see in person at 4 a.m. or whatever hour it was, 3 a.m. It's truly hard to put into words, having covered this league, since graduating college in 2013. It's remarkable. It's truly I'm so thankful. This is all I've ever wanted in my life is is to cover sports in this way, and it's just so satisfying.
Well, let's talk about some of the specifics. Obviously, terms of the deal are still being finalized. And
$7 million salary cap. Supermax salaries at $1.4 million, which is exactly 20% of that cap. Average player salary hitting $584,000 before revenue sharing payments get factored in at the end of the season. Those aren't incremental improvements. That's a fundamental restructuring of WNBA economics, and here's where it connects back to Caitlin Clark recruiting Ray Burrell in Puerto Rico. Under the old CBA structure, stars had limited ability to influence roster construction because the financial constraints were so tight. Everyone was underpaid, so everyone had equal leverage to complain about it. But now you've got a clear hierarchy. Supermax players making $1.4 million, average players making $500,000, role players making significantly less. That creates a new dynamic. Caitlin Clark is about to be the face of the league, making Supermax money. She's going to have input on personnel decisions because her presence drives revenue. And she's smart enough to start building those relationships now, before free agency officially opens, before the expansion draft complicates everything.
Her and Ray Burrell has been having footage come out, and it's looking like Caitlin Clark definitely want a new forward for the Indiana Fever. Now, I'm here to tell you guys, the WNBA deal is done. I am back in the studio, and it's back to business as usual, dog. I'm excited about this. More importantly, I'm excited that the WNBA finally get to be started. Hopefully on time, but we don't know definitively as of yet. Now, free agency and expansion draft and the WNBA draft will be the next process going on for
Ray Burrell specifically makes sense as a target. She's a forward who can shoot, defend multiple positions, and doesn't need the ball in her hands to be effective. Exactly the type of player you want next to a ball-dominant guard like Caitlin. The footage shows them working out together, building chemistry, establishing the foundation for a potential partnership. But there's a bigger question here about what the Fever should prioritize. Do they pay Kelsey Mitchell $1.4 million to keep their backcourt intact? Or do they let her walk and use that money to add multiple pieces around Caitlin? Because at $7 million total, you can't do both. You can't pay 2 Supermaxes and still have enough left over to build a complete roster with depth.
Is at least $500,000 a year, and also it looks like big improvements when it comes to player benefits like housing and parental leave as well. What other things do we know potentially are in this deal?
So what I've been told right now is that the salary cap is in fact at $7 million, and 20% of that salary cap is going to go to the Supermax base salary, which equates to roughly $1.4 million. Additionally, the average salary will be around $584,000 before that rev share payment, which will come at the end of the season, is factored.
Housing, family planning benefits, parental leave. These were the non-salary issues that mattered just as much during negotiations. Players wanted the league to treat them like professional athletes, not just in terms of pay, but in terms of basic support structures. And they got it. The significance of that champagne toast at 3 in the morning wasn't just about the money, it was about both sides recognizing they'd created something sustainable, a framework that allows the WNBA to grow without constantly fighting over the same fundamental issues every few years. Commissioner Engelbert and the union leadership coming together after months of tension and genuinely celebrating what they'd built. Annie Costabile's reporting captured something important about that moment. The exhaustion was real, 30 minutes of sleep over multiple days. Staying at the hotel, running between league headquarters and union headquarters, waiting for information that might never come. But the payoff was worth it, because she got to witness history. A CBA that fundamentally changes the trajectory of women's professional basketball.
Teams. Now, one thing we have to talk about is the Indiana Fever free agency. That's going to be the hottest topic moving forward. That is the Indiana Fever figuring out what's going to happen with Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, and Kelsey Mitchell. Now, me personally, do I believe Kelsey Mitchell is about to get $1.4 million? I don't know. I believe it could possibly hurt role players, hurt the Indiana Fever adding players to the team. but we have to talk about this current situation that has been going viral, and that is Caitlin Clark and Ray.
Watch Caitlin's approach here. She's not making grand public statements about recruiting. She's not tampering in any obvious way. She's just building relationships, working out with players she respects, posting content that shows genuine connection, and letting the basketball world read between the lines. That's smart for multiple reasons. First, it avoids any potential tampering issues with the league office. Second, it puts pressure on the Fever front office without creating public drama. Third, it signals to other free agents that Indiana is a destination where the star player actually wants to win and is willing to do the work to make it happen. Compare that to how NBA superstars handle this situation. LeBron James recruiting players to Miami over dinner. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coordinating their moves to Brooklyn. Kawhi Leonard bringing Paul George to the Clippers. The WNBA hasn't traditionally had that level of player-driven roster construction, but this new CBA makes it possible. And Caitlin Clark is young enough, smart enough, and ambitious enough to take advantage of it. Here's what makes this entire situation fascinating. The WNBA just avoided a potential work stoppage. The season is going to start on time, assuming the Players Union and Board of Governors both vote to ratify this deal. Free agency is about to open. The expansion draft for the Golden State Valkyries is coming. And in the middle of all that chaos, you've got the league's biggest star actively shaping her team's future. The Fever have decisions to make. Kelsey Mitchell has been Caitlin's backcourt partner and put up solid numbers. But at $1.4 million, she becomes one of the highest paid players in the league. Is she worth that? Does she fit the timeline? Can Indiana build a championship roster while paying two guards supermax money? Those questions matter because the margin for error is so thin. $7 million total salary cap means every decision has massive implications. If you overpay one player, you can't afford the depth you need. If you let the wrong player walk, you create a hole you can't fill. And if you don't surround your superstar with the right pieces, you waste the prime years of a generational talent. Caitlin Clark clearly understands this. That's why she's in Puerto Rico working out with Ray Burrell. That's why she's building relationships with potential free agents. That's why she's being strategic about who she connects with publicly. She watched what happened with other WNBA stars who got stuck on mediocre teams without the roster flexibility to improve. She's not letting that happen to her. The new CBA gives her the tools to prevent it. Supermax money means leverage. Revenue sharing means her value to the league gets recognized financially. Better benefits mean she can focus on basketball instead of worrying about basic professional support. And the higher salary cap means the Fever actually have room to add talent without gutting the entire roster. But it also creates pressure. Expectations are about to skyrocket. Fans are going to demand championships, not just playoff appearances. Media coverage is going to intensify. And every personnel decision the Fever make will be scrutinized through the lens of whether it helps or hurts Caitlin's ability to win. That's the reality of being the face of the league in this new era. You get paid like a superstar. You get treated like a superstar. And you're expected to deliver like a superstar. Caitlin's already proven she can handle the basketball side. She won Rookie of the Year. She transformed the Fever from a lottery team to a playoff team. She drove record ratings and attendance everywhere she played. Now comes the next test. Can she influence roster construction effectively? Can she recruit the right players to Indiana? Can she build a championship core while navigating the politics of free agency and the expansion draft? Because that's what separates good players from franchise players in this league. The ability to make everyone around you better, both on the court and in the front office. Ray Burrell might be the first domino. If she signs with Indiana, it validates Caitlin's recruiting approach and signals to other free agents that the Fever are serious about winning. If she goes elsewhere, it raises questions about whether Caitlin actually has the pull to shape her roster, or if she's just another talented player on a small market team without the leverage to compete for top talent. The stakes are real. The WNBA just invested enormous resources into this new CBA. Television deals are improving, expansion is happening, corporate sponsors are paying attention, and Caitlin Clark is the single biggest reason for all of it. Her ability to translate that influence into roster success will define the next chapter of her career. So pay attention to what happens over the next few weeks. Watch who the Fever sign, watch who they let walk. Watch whether Caitlin's recruiting efforts in Puerto Rico actually translate into roster moves. Because this is the beginning of something new in the WNBA. Player empowerment backed by real financial leverage. Stars who can shape their own destinies instead of just hoping management gets it right. And if Caitlin Clark pulls this off, If she builds a championship roster through a combination of smart recruiting and front office collaboration, she won't just be the face of the WNBA. She'll be the blueprint for how the next generation of stars approaches their careers. Make your money, build your relationships, take control of your situation, and win on your own terms. That's the opportunity this new CBA creates. That's what those 8 days of negotiations in Chicago were really about. Not just higher salaries and better benefits, but the foundation for a league where the best players have the power to compete for championships instead of just collecting paychecks on mediocre teams. The question now is whether Caitlin Clark can execute, whether Ray Burrell becomes the first piece of a championship core or just another workout partner who signs elsewhere, whether the Fever make the tough decisions necessary to maximize their window with a generational talent, whether this new era of WNBA basketball actually delivers on its promise. We're about to find out. Free agency opens soon, the expansion draft is coming, and Caitlin Clark is already working behind the scenes to shape her future. If you think she's settling for anything less than a championship, you haven't been paying attention. She didn't transform the league just to be another talented player who never wins. She's building something, and Ray Burrell might be exactly the piece she needs to make it happen. So what do you think? Does Caitlin Clark have the leverage to actually recruit top talent to Indiana? Should the Fever pay Kelsey Mitchell $1.4 million or use that money elsewhere? And is Ray Burrell the right fit next to Caitlin long term? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you want more WNBA coverage, and subscribe because free agency is about to get wild.